Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloker Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. So we are reading from Canto 6, Chapter 8, chapter title The Narayan Kavach Shield. Text number actually beginning till 11 verses, there is no purport. So I just read the translation, and when come to 12th, then we'll recite the verse. Text 1 and 2. King Parikshit inquired from Sukdev Goswami, "My lord, kindly explain the Vishnu mantra, armor the protected King Indra, and enable him to conquer his enemies, along with their carriers, and enjoy the opulence of the three worlds. Please explain to me that Narayan armor by which King Indra achieved success in battle, conquering the enemies who were endeavoring to kill him." Text 3. Shri Sukdev Goswami said, King Indra, the leader of the demigods, inquired about the armor known as Narayan Kavach from Vishwarup, who was engaged by the demigod, their priest. Please hear Vishwarup's reply with great attention. Text 4 to 6. Vishwarup said, if some form of the fear arrives, one should first wash his hands and legs clean and then perform Achman by chanting this mantra. Om apavitra pavitro va sarvavastav gatopi va yasmarita pundrikaksha sabhaya bhayantar suchi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Then one should touch kushagras and sit gravely and silently facing north. When completely purified, one should touch the mantra composed of 8 syllables to the 8 parts of his body and touch the mantra composed of 12 syllables to his hands. Thus, in the following manner, he should bind himself with the Narayan coat of armor. First, while chanting the mantras composed of 8 syllables, Om Namo Narayana, begin with the pranav, the syllable Om. One should touch his hands to the 8 parts of his body, starting with the 2 feet and progress systematically to the knees, thighs, abdomen, heart, chest, mouth and head. Then one should chant the mantra in reverse beginning from the last syllable Ya while touching the part of his body in the reverse order. These 2 processes are known as Utpatti Nyas and Samhara Nyas respectively. Text 7. Then one should chant the mantra composed of 12 syllables Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Preceding each syllable by the Omkar, one should place the syllables of the mantra on the tip of his fingers, beginning with the index finger of the right hand and concluding with the index finger of the left. The 4 remaining syllables should be placed on the joints of the thumb. Text 8 to 10. Text 8 to 10. Okay. One must then chant the mantra of 6 syllables, Om Vishnave Nama. One should place the syllable Om on his heart, the syllable V on the top of his head, the syllable Sh between his eyebrows, the syllable Na on his tuft of hair, Shikha, and the syllable V between his eyes. The chanter of the mantra should then place the syllable Na on all the joint of his body and meditate on the syllable Ma as being a weapon. He should thus become the perfect personification of the mantra. Therefore, adding Visarga to the final syllable Ma, he should chant the mantra Ma Astraya Phat in all directions, beginning from the east. In this way, all direction will be bound by the protective armor of the mantra. Text 11. After finishing this chanting, one should think himself qualitatively one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full in 6 opulences and is worthy to be meditated upon. Then one should chant the following protective prayers to Lord Narayan, the Narayan Kavach. Okay. So, I will just recite this 12th verse. Om Harir Vidya Dhyana Mama Sarva Raksham Nyasta Giri Padma Padagendra Prashte Darari Charma Sikadeshu Chapa पाशान ददानो अष्टगुण अष्टबाहु ओम हरि विद्या ओम हरिर विद्यादान ममन सर्वरक्षाम न्यस्तांग्रि पद्म पतगेंद्र पृष्ठे दरारि चर्मासि गणेषु चाप पाशान ददानो अष्टबाहु अष्टगुण अष्टबाहु ओम हरिर्विद्यातो मम सर्वरक्षा न्यास्त्यांग्रि पद्म पतंगेंद्र पष्टे दरारि चर्मासि गणेषु चाप पाशान ददानो अष्टगुण अष्टबाहु विद्यान मम सर्वरक्षा ओम हरिर्विदधान मम सर्वरक्षा ओम हरि माता Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Word to word meaning. Om, O Lord, Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vidyadat, may He bestow, Mama, my, Sarvaraksham, protection from all sides, Nyasta, placed, Angri Padma, whose lotus feet, Padgendra Prashte, on the back of Garuda, the king of all birds, Dara, conch shell, Ari, disc, Charma, shield, Asi, sword, Gada, club, Isho, arrows, chapa, boa, pashan, ropes, dadana, holding, ashta, possessing 8, guna, perfection, ashta, 8, bhav, arms. Translation. The Supreme Lord who sits on the back of the bird Garuda, touching him with his lotus feet, holds 8 weapons. The conch shell, disc, shield, sword, club, arrows, bow and ropes. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead protect me at all times with His 8 arms. He is all powerful because He fully possesses the 8 mystic powers, Anima, Lagima, etc. Purport. Thinking oneself one with the Supreme is called Ahangaropasana. Through Ahangaropasana, one does not become God, but he thinks of himself as qualitatively one with the Supreme. Understanding that as a spirit soul he is equal in quality to the Supreme Soul, the way the water of a river is of the same nature as the water of the sea. One should meditate upon the Supreme Lord as described in this verse and seek his protection. The living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme. Consequently, their duty is to always seek the mercy of the Lord in order to be protected by him in all circumstances. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utar Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathamitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tenamale Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarane Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurti Vashe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Bhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhayasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. First of all, I am seeking the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, especially Dhruva Prabhu, Shyam Prabhu and so many other devotees, Mahavira Prabhu, so that they can bless and so that I can speak about this in Bhagavatam to glorify the Supreme Lord and to serve all of you. So this Narayan Kavach chapter name Shield is like protecting prayers. The like last chapter, as we know about the last chapter, I just tell something about what happened there. The Indra, he offended his spiritual master Brihaspati. As we know all of that from many days, this chapter is going on, that how Indra just was sitting on his assembly and so much glories of his going on, surrounded by so many other demigods and glorified, and his glories are singing by the Vidyadhara, Charanas and Apsarai. So many things was happening, and that time Brihaspati came in that assembly. So although Indra saw that, but he did not pay respect to him. There it was mentioned because of the two reasons. One reason was out of his pride, because he was getting so much glorification, so much opulence. So therefore he became so much proud of that. And then second reason it was mentioned that the Brihaspati was regularly coming there. So then it happens that it becomes so much familiarity. And out of the familiarity, he not pay respect to that spiritual master. So these are the two reasons mentioned there, that Indra in this way offended his spiritual master Brihaspati. And Brihaspati immediately understood this, how the Indra has become Jai Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki Jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Brihaspati immediately understood that how Indra has become now uh, puffed up because of his so much material opulences. So then he immediately left the place. And within a very short time, after the Brihaspati left that place, Indra immediately understood that I have done very great mistake. So then he was just lamenting, and was in the lamentation he was just cursing himself that what is the use of all these opulences if these opulences make me proud, and therefore therefore he is ready to give up all these things. And in this way he was lamenting, and then he decided that I will go and beg forgiveness from the Brihaspati, and then in this way I will seek forgiveness. But Brihaspati immediately understood this Indra's, and immediately left and hid himself. And therefore Indra was looking, but he was not found anywhere. And while having these things, one was happening there, other side, then the demons, they came to know all these things. And therefore they started at worshipping their spiritual master Shukracharya. And they got so much power they got. And because of that power, they just came and just defeat to all the demigods, and they took away all their kingdom, everything. And then Indra and other demigods went to Brahma, and then Brahma chastised them by not giving respect to the spiritual master in this way. And then Brahma was telling to them that because these demons, they always get defeated from you, but now this time you have offended your spiritual master, and then they have worshipped their spiritual master. They become more powerful, and you are saying they become so much powerful that they can take my position also, seize my position also. They were telling. Yeah, Brahmaji was telling, and then Brahmaji told to demigods, go to the Vishwarup, a great Brahmana, very austere, very good qualified. So you go all and make him as your priest, as a guru, and then he will provide you the Narayan Kavach. From that you can defeat to the demons, and then you will get your post back. So this is the background. And then Indra will, along all other demigods, goes to the to Vishwarup to meet, and then they were requesting to the Vishwarup, although you are very younger and we are like your parents, so therefore the son duty is to just protect the parents, and therefore we are now in very difficult problems, so please help us. In this way, after requesting so much, then Vishwarup agreed to become their priest, and then this chapter began with by protecting them by giving this Narayan Kavach from by the recitation different of mantras. So the chapter begins with the inquiry of the Parikshit Maharaj, which last chapter 39th verse connecting of these both two chapters are like. So last chapter 39th verse is like, I just read translation. The opulence of demons, who are generally known as the enmity of the demigods, was protected by the talent and tactic of Shukracharya. But Vishwarup, who was most powerful, composed a protective prayer known as the Narayan Kavach. By this intelligent mantra, he took away the opulence of the demons and gave it to the Mahendra, the king of heaven. So when this point came about the Narayan Kavach, and because Narayan Kavach he protected to the demigods and gave their opulences back, then immediately questions came to the Parikshit Maharaj. What question came? You are mentioning here. King Parikshit inquired from Sukdev Goswami, my lord, kindly explain the Vishnu mantra, armor that protected King Indra and enabled him to conquer his enemies along with their carriers and enjoy the opulence of 3 worlds. Please explain to me that Narayan armor by which King Indra achieved success in battle, conquering the enemies who were endeavoring to kill him. The demigods become demigods become the more powerful, and then they got defeat to the demons, and then they got their opulences back. So actually there are series of chapters are there with this theme of how the begins with Indra often Brahaspati, and then many chapters are there, but and I just covered this till second chapters of this time. So therefore as we are going to understand this Narayan Kavacha by the recitation of the mantras, by the name of the Lord, and because that reciting the names and the particular mudra and particular touching the different parts of the limbs, so then we get the protection from that side and to the particular name. So as we go through the verses, then Prabhupada is very nicely covering the different verse according to the purport they are mentioned. So today till this verse was still covered, that how by thinking oneself the supreme one does not become the supreme. So actually this section of the Bhagavatam is very much helpful for all of us to understand the valuable lessons we can learn from that. So there are so many lessons are there. I just took the lessons from this first two chapters so that we understand and apply in our life. So from that we understand that this world like is a place where these things can be happen at any time. Like what Indra was enjoying is on and suddenly the things will happen. Therefore when we are also very nicely practicing in our devotional service, but sometimes something uncertainty can be happen at any time, and therefore we become so much morose and we defeat our in devotional part. So therefore while practicing devotional service, one has to be very careful, not one has to be very careless or very inattentive in practicing devotional service. Like in 5th canto it comes actually, where Lord Rishabh, he rejected, Lord Rishabh rejected to the siddhis he was getting. So that time Parishit Maharaj inquired from the Sukdev Goswami that although Lord Rishabh himself is a supreme Lord, so why he rejects the siddhis which we are getting from the while practicing devotional service. So then Sukdev Goswami explained about the nature of this material world. This nature of the material world is that although he is a supreme Lord, but to teach us he is going through this example. So he told that because the supreme Lord is know the nature of this world, so therefore he tells that he gives two examples. One he gives to when the hunter capture the animal. So when the hunter capture the animal, what he does? He become very careful that if he is not become careful, that then the animal can anytime be run away from the prison, and then he do so much harm to the society. So therefore the animal is compared to like mind. So when one is practicing devotion service, one has to be very careful to understand the nature of the mind. Otherwise at any time mind can be cheat us. So therefore the hunter has to be very careful, otherwise the animal can run away and create so much harm to the society. Another example is giving to that he is comparing to the mind is like the unchaste or a wife, and she has having the 6 paramour. So therefore the wife always wanted to associate with the paramour, and sometimes it happens that the wife, unchaste wife and the paramours will together, they will kill the husband. So this Sukdev Goswami tells in relate to the Lord Rishabh there, not accepting to the siddhis. So what is that? The unchaste wife is like a mind, and when mind will in the association of the 6 enemies like this senses. So with the senses, then they can kill to the soul. Killing soul to means that make him to the fall this thing. So therefore, while practicing devotional service, one has to be very careful. Therefore, the example Rishabdev is teaching from is how one should be very detached. The section of the Lord Rishabdev is teaching that one has to be very detached, not to be too much attached to this material world. So therefore, while practicing, one has to be very careful. Also, accept responsible post on behalf of the Supreme Lord and Spiritual Master, and accept privileges for rendering service in a better way, but not for personal sense, not for personal enjoyment. So here, from the Indra, we can learn that actually, so when one is getting post or position in a society, one has to be very responsible, because and whatever privileges comes, use it so that the service can be done very nicely, better, but not for the personal sense enjoyment. So here we see that when Indra was accepting, actually Indra was accepting all the glories, but the result of this is that he became proud, and then he lost his understanding that what is true and what is wrong, what is right and what is wrong. Whereas in another section of Bhagavatam, we can understand that actually when Prithu Maharaj was getting glories, Prithu Maharaj also was getting so much glories. Even while beginning his activities, he has not done till now anything. He was getting so much glories. But he was having complete understanding that this glories is not for my own sake of enjoyment, but this glories is meant so that I can become more responsible for my services. So therefore, Prithu Maharaj was accepting on this mood of that glories, and therefore there was no chance for him to become proud. How we now understand that? The same situations happen with Prithu Maharaj also. When Prithu Maharaj was getting so much glories from the citizens, so that time, after some time, the 4 Kumaras came there. Like here we see Brahaspati came, but he not pay any attention to the Brahaspati, because he understood that this glories is meant for myself. But when Prithu Maharaj was knowing that this glories is meant so that I can do my better services. So when suddenly these 4 Kumaras came, he immediately stopped the glories and got up from the asan, and then he welcomed them 4 Kumaras very nicely and gave the seat, his own asan, where he was sitting, and then he was glorifying. What glorifying he was doing that? Just like in material world, we see that when the lover, or when we see that when the girls came to meet to this lover, then become so happy. So in this way he was giving the example. Similarly, I am become so much happy by getting all of your association. So here we can see that actually by having complete understanding of the responsible post is not meant for my purpose, but for the service of the Lord. So then one can be serve very nice positive attitude. So another way, leader post is very responsible post. Wrong act done not affect on him only, but affect to the whole society. So as we see here, although the mistake done by the Indra by not paying obeisance or not giving respect or to the spiritual master, but it got affect to all the demigods. So similarly, when the leaders done some mistake, it will not affect to him only, but to the whole society. So when this Indra, we see that after how the demons became more powerful, and then they took away all the kingdom, and all demigods was not running here and there. So therefore we can understand that actually when I have got the responsible post, is not that I have to be just like we can say that just it be like everyone is getting affected of my not doing duty properly, neglecting duty. So therefore, one has to be very careful also. One has to do his proper duty. And power of worshipping spiritual master, and dangerous of disrespecting acharyas or superiors. So it was mentioning there, the demigods were always get defeat from the demigods. Whenever the so when the demons were attacked to the demigods, they always get defeat. But this time, by knowing that they have disrespected their spiritual master, their power has become very less, and then the demons, they started worshipping to their spiritual master in such a way that they got so much energy, so much they got strength, and then they defeat to the demigods. So from this example we can understand that actually power of worshipping spiritual master and the dangers of disrespecting acharyas or spiritual master or superiors. So therefore, actually whole bhakti process is teaching this only, that the whatever one is getting in devotional service, not only some whatever advancement in getting one is devotional service, not because of him, but one is getting by all the advancement in spiritual life because of blessings of the superior. When the superiors are pleased, when the spiritual masters are pleased, then they shower blessing, and therefore the disciple will nicely make advancement. So therefore, when the great souls comes, when the spiritual masters comes, one has to be very, very attentive, very careful while serving to them, not neglect or all this thing, which Indra has done mistake here. So therefore, when you worship spiritual master, one get lot of blessings, and then one gets strength to practice devotional service nicely. Whereas when one disrespect to the spiritual master, or not paying or neglecting them or not paying attention, then there are a lot of disturbances will come. Another example, another things we can learn from that, power of recitation of mantra. Actually, this mantra, whole Narayan Kavach is like a recitation of different mantras of the names of the Supreme Lord. And then such a protected shield has developed, that their whole body has completely become so much protected by the different recitation of the mantras. As we see into the Krishna Leela also it comes. When after the Putana, when the Putana came there to the, and then after the Putana killed and died, and then the Mother Yashoda and Roni Devi took the Krishna from that away, and then went to the cow shield, and then they are bathed with cow urine and cow dung. After then, so many recitation of different mantras was there. May Lord Aja protect from to the your leg side. May so many series of whole verses of different recite this name of the Supreme Lord comes. So it becomes this is called as the power of mantra, that it becomes completely protect from all sides. This is the protection of the body mentioned here, but to we can understand that how the recitation of different mantras of the name, that one can become so much spiritual, powerful. So therefore, every day in Kali Yuga, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is mentioned. That Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only way which can be nicely protect from to everyone while in practicing devotional service. So therefore, power of recitation of the mantra is make us very strong. Here protection from bodily level was given, but we make us very strong in devotional service. So in this way we can understand that actually this section of Bhagavatam is very much helpful for us to understand that a sadhaka is going in his life, so how much carefully practice by different aspects of devotional service. Therefore, I just conclude with this last section here mentioned here. So about the mantras recitation was mentioned here. One must then chant the mantra of 6 syllable, Om Vishnave Nama. One should place the syllable Om on the heart, then the top of his head. So here, like the mudras is there, as we in DT services, there are, when we go for the doing any service, begin with the Achman. So Achman is like 24 Achmans are there, and while doing that Achman, we have to touch the different fingers or that to the particular part of the body, and then recite the particular mantra. Name are also given. So similarly, it means that we are protected from that, and then after then those who pujaris, those who are doing this worship or bathing to the Lord, Manas Puja is also called as. Therefore, we have to meditate that worshipping of the Lord on their mind. So in this way, by reciting of different mantras, so much protection will get. Therefore, I had every day, I just took it from till 12, and the 13, 14, whatever verse comes, we will get new thing to understand that how the recitation of the mantra is so much powerful. Not that only the mantra is there, but when we recite, we get so much protection. So therefore, I just these are some lessons we can learn from these two chapters, and I had many chapters are there where Indra is going to commit so many mistakes again. So that that more lesson will be there we can learn. So I just stop here only. If someone has any questions, then ask.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for beautifully highlighting these two themes, power of blessings of Guru and the importance of recitation of mantra, and many other examples which you give. Prabhuji, means I don't know whether in the previous series this question was being asked for discussion, but somehow I'm little always confused about this. Like when we say about Guru, the power of blessings of Guru, this Shukracharya means really is a very special personality. Like he is on the side of demons, and so how by generally we find Guru means one who takes people towards Vishnu or towards duty of Hare. So how by pleasing, is it that because they are performing dharma of pleasing Guru, they are getting so many powers? So little always this confusion is there. Ki how, what is the personality of Shukracharya? Like, and second question, okay, I'll ask later.
So here we can see that how the like Shukracharya is actually its glories also come Shukracharya's in that Bali Maharaj section only, where it was mentioned that even Lord is glorifying there, where mentioned that how the Shukracharya that time he was telling to the Bali Maharaj, don't, because he was telling that he is Lord Vishnu only, don't give the land to the Vishnu. So after every whole the episode things will happen, then Lord is asking to the Shukracharya. So that time these things will come where I also becoming means I also wanted to check this how that time after the glories of the their Prabhu right in the purport that how the Shukracharya's when the glories, when these demons were on following his, how much powerful it comes. Actually, there are 9th canto also it comes to the section. So just you wanted to know that how the
Hare Krishna, yeah. See, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, amongst the Kavis, I am Ushana Kavi, he says. I am Shukracharya, he says. That means Shukracharya is very learned, Pandita. And also, just as demons have Shukracharya, demigods have Brihaspati, for everybody there is a guru. In any field, whether it is karate or kung fu or Bharatanatyam or music or education also, if a student is pleasing the guru means what? One is to follow the instructions of the guru very faithfully, what is taught, and fulfill the instructions given. Another thing is to worship the guru, like we say, Yasya Prasadat, Bhagat Prasado. Like Dronacharya was pleased by Arjuna, and Arjuna got a lot of blessings. And the blessings of the guru also comes as teachings also. Like Arjuna was given Brahmastra, especially by Dronacharya, because he was pleased with his alignment with his guru's teachings. So, whether it is demons or demigods, whoever in whichever line they please their master, they become supported by their master, blessed by their master, nourished by their master, and they get abilities, capabilities by which they can do wonderful things. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj in Spiritual Warrior book, he writes that in any field we have a role model or mentor. And he says about this Zen Buddhists, for example, or even the Kung Fu, Karate and all these people. In every line there is a reverence for the teacher. When there is a reverence means respect for the teacher, obedience to the teacher, alignment with the teacher, fulfilling the instructions of the teacher, and adoring the teacher even in his absence. And all these things tantamounts to ultimately the disciple becoming empowered in whatever field the teacher is training him. So the demigods did their part well, and that is specifically mentioned by Brahmaji. Brahmaji tells the demigods that demons worship their guru like that. And on the part of demigods, they became careless, inattentive in giving due respect for the guru. Actually, giving formal, superficial respect alone is not enough, because respect is not superficial, etiquettes. It is of the heart. The respect in the heart comes out as obedience. If obedience is not there, there is likelihood that there is a respect lacking inside. So when one lacks respect for guru, then one also lacks respect for guru's instructions also. And one doesn't hear the guru. One doesn't follow the instruction. One takes guru casually. One may even ridicule guru. One may find fault with guru. Then like what Ramachandra Puri did to Madhavendra Puri. The result is he was defeated in his purpose. So it's very easy principle. There's nothing special about it. Everybody in this world has a guru, and they follow the guru. Like Arjuna says, Karishye Vachanam Tava, and he became glorious. On the other hand, Karna did not listen to Krishna. He was destroyed. So anyone who follows the guru eventually gets empowered. That was the point. And also he was telling about Dronacharya's power. Yes, Dronacharya is not only a learned personality. The scriptures talk about his abilities. He had Mrita Sanjivani mantra, which he was teaching. Teaching, that means you may be aware how much power he must be in bringing the dead people back to life. Even people like Maya, Danava and all, they all have learned from Shukracharya. He is a guru of many, many big fellows. So he is certainly a very mighty personality. Just as Brihaspati is mighty in the demigod side, he is mighty guru of the demon side also. Alright, no? Also in this verse, the third line, Dharari Charma Sagadeshu Chapa. So all the weapons are given, like Lord's Chakra, Lord's Shankha, Lord's Gadha, Lord's Sword, and Lord's bow and arrow. 5 items are given, and each of them is extremely powerful in smashing the demoniac powers and protecting the demigods and devotees. Each of this. So this chapter is all about how, if the devotees or demigods who are in alignment with the Lord, they submit themselves to the Lord, then they have lots of protection that awaits them. Lots of personal protection by the Lord, because the weapons that Lord carries are energized by the Lord only. So, therefore, these weapons are immediately available to protect the devotees. This is one thing that can give us great confidence in our spiritual life. Like, for example, the chakra, protected the Pandavas. When the Brahmastra was sent by Ashwathama, 2 Brahmastras, one to kill Parikshit, one to kill Pandavas. And the Sudarshan chakra of the Lord finished off one of the Brahmastras. And Gada was just used by the Lord. He was whirling the Gada and then going around the body of the child. So this Gada, chakra, they were all employed by the Lord for protecting both the Pandavas and Parikshit. Later on you hear in the 9th canto, the chakra was used to protect Ambarish, Sudarshan chakra, and it chased away Durvasa Muni. It cut the demon that was created by Durvasa. Cut into pieces in a moment. So that is the power of the chakra. Similarly, Panchajanyam, Rishikesho, Devadattam, Dhananjaya. Panchajanya is Krishna's personal conch. When Krishna blew the shank while entrance to Dwaraka, at that time all the Dwarkavasis woke up. That Prabhupada writes, the shank of the Lord wakes up the sleeping souls, everybody, and immediately puts them in touch with the Lord, the shank. So for the devotees it is auspicious because it wakes up the devotees and energizes the devotees. And for the demons, Sagosho Dhartarashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat. It just shatters the hearts of the enemies. So the same weapons, it protects the devotees and nourishes the devotees. On the other hand, it destroys the demon and defeats the demons. So this whole chapter is centered around this one theme. Simply by hearing these verses along with the translations and seeing how the Lord is a personality with various weapons. His weapons are also persons. And sometimes you will hear in the Balaji's pastimes that the weapons of the Lord also take birth in this world. They come as alvars, they come like the chakra, the shank, they come. They are persons actually. And in the spiritual world, everybody is a person. Even the Vahana is a person. Garuda. You don't have a car or a scooter, which is a dead thing. The spiritual world, everybody is a person assisting the Lord. So the weapons are assisting the Lord in His mission. Lord's mission is to protect the devatas and protect the devotees and protect Brahminical culture. So that is also a highlight. Thank you. Hare Bol. Any other questions for him?
Hare Krishna Bhaji, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate your example of contrasting with Prithu Maharaj. So many times by contrasting things become more clear. So thank you so much for giving such a wonderful example of Prithu response versus Indra's response, and how Prithu's response was like very unique response. So thank you for that. My question is, I wonder when I hear such chapter like, this Narayan Kavach, and there is Narsing Kavach also elsewhere. And here we see that Brajvasis are also chanting like that, for protecting Krishna. Yeah, so it's interesting. And Parikshit Maharaj is also inquiring, it appears whether he wants protection for him or what. So my question is, Prabhupada writes in 18.65, one should fix his mind on his original form of Godhead Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of Lord. The Lord as multifarious as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Varaha, but a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Like that Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita itself. So my question is, what is the utility of these kavachas for devotees? Who should use, whether you should use or not, or you should pray for protection, or that's what I wanted to understand.
So, like the different forms of the Lord is like the same Lord is there. We can say that Leela is different. And so whenever the Lord comes in different forms, so Vara or Narsimha, so therefore the what Prabhu is mentioning here, the devotees has to just focus on the Lord Shyam Sundar form, and he just make his goal as to the but it not makes that the one to when the Lord's different leelas forms comes, one should not be pay respect to them. So this was there. So yesterday also Prabhuji was mentioning that for devotees, those who are like going on some diseases or some all these things, then they give nursing to wear this nursing kavach, all these things. So as one can use when new for new devotees there, but when become very senior, or senior means when become an initiated devotee or chanting rounds Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then his faith should be on. Probably you can clarify more this.
Actually, we have to be aware of the Lord's multifarious potencies, powers, abilities of the Lord. But at the same time, Prabhupada gives direction. For example, in ISKCON, what are we doing? Every day we are only chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and we are worshipping the deity of Radha Krishna. We are celebrating festivals for Radha Krishna and Gaurnitai, Jagannath only. It's not that we are having multiple type of. Occasionally you have Narsingha Yajna. You don't have every day Narsingha Yajna. You don't have once in a while. So there are people for whom Narsimha is the worshipable deity. If you go to Solinga Narsingha, or Ahobilam Mat Narsimha, if you see, for them that's the main deity. For us, Prabhupada has prescribed Narsingha Arti once in a day for us to be protected in Kali Yuga. Otherwise, generally you will see there are various deities. Some temples, Varaha is the main deity they have worshipped. There are temples on Varaha also. Similarly, there are temples of Vishnu, there are temples of different deities. And so Prabhupada is saying that when it comes to the devotees in ISKCON who are practicing guided by Prabhupada, the understanding of Krishna is not very ordinary. It's the highest understanding of the fully blown manifest Purna Purushottam, Bhagavan. So one should meditate on that form, chant his mantra and perform service to him and not get distracted by others, like the Prabhupada is giving for everybody. But there are going to be devotees who will be Sitaram Bhaktas. There will be Vishnu Bhaktas, they will be there. And they are not condemned when Prabhupada says this. There is no condemnation. If you think Prabhupada is condemning, you are sadly mistaken. Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified Murari Gupta, he glorified Anupam. Glorious is the Lord who never gives up his devotee. Glorious is the devotee who never gives up the Lord, he glorified. So, and they were all followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. It is not that Mahaprabhu said, you are a Ram Bhakta. I don't want you. He didn't say like that. He accepted them as his devotees. So there is no confusion in this. Why you should utilize? Just chant Hare Krishna mantra and be peaceful.
श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराण की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.